Well, we learned an awful lot about the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. We learned that when the chips are down, when things aren't going the way they planned, and when they absolutely, positively had to win, they could find a way to do it. Garoppolo has still never lost back-to-back games as a starter, and he showed once again that when he has a bad performance, you can count on a solid one in the next game. I think there's one word that sums up all of this, and that word is determination, and the 49ers showed it right off the bat. Let's take a look at this first play. They start off with a handoff to Deebo Samuel. Now, Hollins gets past the block of George Kittle, but that's okay. That's the plan. The 49ers are going to use Raheem Mostert here as the lead blocker, almost like a fullback, allowing Kittle and Juszczyk to fire off into the second level. And Deebo Samuel is going to get around the corner with blockers out in front of him. Now, one thing coaches will always tell you is to play until you hear the whistle. See, everyone here thinks he's down, and the Rams let up, but he never touched the ground, and the whistle never blew it. He gets back up and goes way down the field for 35 yards. Determination. What a statement the 49ers make right off the bat. Now, it's a little hard to tell from this angle, but Deebo's body never touches the ground, and we're going to look at all the Rams players who are just kind of standing around here. There's Aaron Donald. And Kaiser is the only one, now he slows down a little, but he's the only one who is alert enough to realize, hey, wait a second, and he gives chase. Rams are very lucky this didn't go all the way, and Deebo Samuel is quickly establishing himself as one of the premier wide receivers in the NFC West. Now they start this next play off with a fake to Mostert, but check out the 49ers offensive line. They're just manhandling the Rams up front. The Niners could have handed it off here if they wanted to, but this is a pass. Now, Floyd does get past the block of George Kittle, but again, that's the plan. Kittle's simply going to turn around and catch a pass, and Mike McGlinchey is going to peel off and set the block that really springs Kittle here. Check out Ben Garland leading the way too. First and goal, San Francisco. Now, you don't always need a real fancy play design. Sometimes it's enough just to get the ball into the hands of your playmakers. And here, the plan is very simple. Everybody just flow to your right, get the ball in the hands of Deebo Samuel, and let him run to daylight. The perfect way to start this game. A statement. The reports of the 49ers' demise have been greatly exaggerated. Now check out the job Dan Brunskill does blocking Aaron Donald here. All right, it's 7-0, and they get the ball back, but here, as you can see, they're facing a first down and 16 due to a penalty. Now San Francisco takes George Kittle, and they drop him into the backfield. It must be so annoying to play against the 49ers. Every play is like, geez, what are they doing now? All right, the Rams are going to send a blitz. They have the 49ers backed up, and they want to apply pressure. But here, Mike McGlinchey doesn't even bother blocking the man right in front of him. He fires out to the second level. So it looks again as if Floyd is going to be unblocked. Surely there's no way Dwelly can get around to block him, right? Well, he doesn't have to, because he doesn't have to pass protect here. This is going to be a running play. So all he has to do is pin him to the inside so that Mostert can go around him. And now we see the true purpose of bringing George Kittle into the backfield. They're going to use him as a lead blocker for Mostert. And here we get an excellent example of Mostert's vision. The most natural move would be to go to the outside here. In fact, the defender even kind of sets himself up that way. But Mostert cuts to the inside and gains some extra yards on the play. Now here we get a really good look at the Rams' defensive front, and we're going to notice that Aaron Donald isn't in there. Why? Well, Donald is such a good player that it actually makes sense to play him on fewer plays. Now, I know that may sound counterintuitive, but the thinking is you want to save his energy, save his strength for the fourth quarter when it really counts and he can make a huge, impactful play on the game. All right, Niners are out of the hole, and now they're going to motion both Juszczyk and Kittle to the other side of the formation. The Rams adjust by shifting their line over to that side. Now it's 2nd down and 2 here, so let's see what the Niners have in mind. Right away, we see that they have 3 blockers versus 3 defenders up top. And the same is true down below as well. This leaves Ben Garland as an extra blocker so that he can go into the second level. But the key to this play isn't necessarily that he gets a block downfield. It's about the hole that he makes when he leaves that area so that Jerick McKinnon can just run in right in behind him. Now, it looks like he might be able to go a long way. In truth, that's kind of wishful thinking. These defensive linemen are really good at closing that hole right down. But remember, it's only 2nd and 2. He only needs 2 yards here. And the play is a success. Now, earlier we talked about playing until you hear the whistle blow. Here, McKinnon hasn't been blown down, and he just tosses the ball aside casually, and the Rams recognize that as a potential fumble and pick it up and run way down the field, and Garoppolo is the one who has to make the tackle and knock him out of bounds. Wow. This is a potentially huge mistake by Jerick McKinnon. Now, fortunately for the 49ers, replay did show that one of the Rams players did get a hand on his helmet as he was on his way down. So that counts as being touched down, and the play ends right there. So under review, this was not a fumble. And there's also the question of, did he give himself up voluntarily? He clearly makes no effort to get up and continue running before tossing the ball aside. The thing with that is, giving yourself up is a judgment that has to be made by the official. So again, until you hear the whistle blow, don't just toss the ball aside like that. That could have been disastrous for the 49ers. Luckily, when the officials took a look at the replay, they got it right. All right, the quarter has ended. Now we're in the second quarter, and the teams have switched sides. But I want to call your attention to the fact that the 49ers have used a timeout. Now, the way this went down was very interesting. The second quarter started. The Niners went out there, looked like they were ready to run a play. Then they called a timeout. Normally, that wouldn't happen because whatever you needed to discuss during your timeout, you would have done during the quarter change. But also notice where the ball is on the field, the 47-yard line, and it's 3rd down. It's 3rd and 5, in fact. So here, I believe the 49ers called a play knowing that they were probably going to go for it on 4th down. Now, why did they call the timeout? It's possible that Kyle wanted to see the personnel and formation that the Rams were going to use on defense before calling that 3rd down play. Now, timeouts are pretty valuable, so I don't know if that's the case. It is worth noting that it's still the first half, and your timeouts are usually more valuable in the second half, and in the second half you get 3 brand new timeouts. So maybe that is what went down, who knows. But in any event, let's take a look at what the 49ers did here. Now they call a run, but unfortunately for the Rams, they send a corner blitz right into the running lane. But Raheem Mostert makes a cut in the backfield and is able to get around them and gain a few yards. He doesn't get the first down, but remember, he doesn't need to. The Niners had already planned on going for it on 4th down. You see the Rams all celebrating, raising their fists. That's the signal for 4th down, but they shouldn't celebrate just yet. All right, here we go, 4th and 2. You know, it's funny, the second quarter just started, but this is already kind of a big moment in the game. But before we take a look at this, I want to take you back in time and look at a play that we discussed in Week 11 of last year, Cardinals at 49ers. And if you remember back to that game, the Cardinals in this situation were very aggressive, and they sent an all-out blitz leaving absolutely no safeties whatsoever to cover the middle or deep part of the field. That's called a zero blitz. Zero safeties on the field. Very risky, very aggressive. So that when Jeff Wilson Jr. made a cut to the inside, there was absolutely nobody to stop him for walking in with the game-winning touchdown. Now, what do you think the Rams did here? If you guessed that they sent an all-out blitz, you guessed right. This means the defensive backs are one-on-one with all the eligible receivers, including the tight end, with no safety in the middle of the field. Now, normally the defender here should force the tight end to the outside so that he can use the sideline as defensive help. But instead, he lets him go to the inside. Now, they've got a corner on him, but that's not just any tight end. That's George Kittle. And it's an easy read and throw for Garoppolo. What a beautiful pass. That was right on the money. Let's go back to the snap. With pressure in his face, Garoppolo throws an absolute dime here. Check it out. Let's go back and take a look at a few more things. The reason this play was a success was because of the center, Ben Garland. Now, the Rams have a free rusher coming right at Garoppolo, but Garland's already blocking Aaron Donald. So what he has to do is hit Donald and then move over to pick up the late rusher. Now, that means Donald is going to have a free lane at Garoppolo, but Garland was able to slow him down just enough so that Jimmy can release the ball, take the hit, but watch and smile as Kittle takes it in for a touchdown. And look at the location of that throw. One last thing. Look at the separation Kittle has from the defender here. In fact, it's to the point where the defender feels like he has to dive to make this tackle. And when he misses, it's all over. There's no safeties in the middle of the field, so too aggressive by the Rams? You be the judge. But now it's 14-0, and the Rams have to fire back. And here, they execute this play really well. The idea is pretty simple. Cooper Kupp is going to sit up right at the goal line, allowing Robert Woods to slide in right behind him. And the idea is that this way he can keep himself in between himself and the defender, Jaquiski Tartt. But Tartt is all over him. I mean, this is as good a safety play as you're going to see in the NFL. Unfortunately for the 49ers, good throws beat good coverage. That was terrific, fantastic coverage. Look at Tartt. He can't even believe it. But Jared Goff just makes a tremendous throw. Look at this. Wow. That is elite on all levels. And it gets the Rams right back into this thing. Now, before they kick the extra point, we're going to go back in time again to week 2, Rams at Philadelphia. And I want you to watch the trajectory of this kick. Very low, and it's blocked. Now, this is something that the 49ers coaches noticed on film when they were preparing for this game. Yeah, you heard that right. The Niner coaches are so thorough, they even look at film of extra point attempts. So they knew they had the potential to block one in this game, and they did. So the score remains 14-6. All right, Niners get the ball back, but as you can see, they're second down and 18. We're going to see how the Niners handle this situation. All right, Brandon Ayuk is going to sit up in the zone, and the defender sticks right on him. Now, notice this corner is playing an outside technique. So Kendrick Bourne is going to cut to the inside. Now, as far as the safety knows, Bourne could be going deep. So he has to backpedal on the play, and Bourne will simply take the space that he left behind. Now, could the safety guess here and try to jump the route? Sure, he could. But his job is to not get beat deep on the play. So that's what he's going to do. And it's an easy read for Garoppolo. And just take a look at the protection that Garoppolo is getting from his offensive line here. Jimmy throws another dime, and it's a big gain on the play. Now we've got to take a look at this offensive line play because they struggled mightily last week, but this week they turned in a tremendous performance. On the right side, you have Dan Brunskill and Mike McGlinchey holding it down. On the left, you have Laken Tomlinson and Trent Williams double teaming Aaron Donald. Gotta know where Donald is on every play. Jerick McKinnon is going to pick up the outside rusher, but he doesn't actually block him here because he's running a route. That's okay. All he has to do is slow him down a little, and then Williams will peel off and pick him up. Good chemistry between Williams and Tomlinson. And notice Ben Garland. He doesn't get impatient. He waits for the late blitzer, something that the Niners didn't do last week. And again, look at the location of this throw. It's born right in the numbers so that he can catch the ball in stride, keep going, and gain additional yardage. And now the Niners are moving the ball again. That play was so successful, Kyle Shanahan decides to call another deep shot here. And again, look at the protection that Garoppolo gets. Nice catch by Bourne. Another big gain down the field. Chunk play. Let's go back to the snap. Now this is an absolutely brilliantly designed Kyle Shanahan play. The Niners start off with a run fake to Mostert. Now, the linebacker here does a pretty good job. He stays disciplined. He doesn't run forward to meet the fake. But what this does do is it holds him. And we see that they're not only faking to Mostert, Deebo Samuel is also coming around the backside as well. So this holds the middle linebacker and the outside linebacker too. Now let's take a look at the safety, because he sees two wide receivers both potentially going deep, bearing down on him, and he aggressively sprints backwards on the play. In fact, let's just get him off the screen. Kendrick Bourne will simply take the space the defense left behind. Pretty tough to defend, and the Niners are just marching right down the field. But here they're facing a 3rd down and 8. And I think here we see something that 49er fans have been waiting 3 years to see, which is the Garoppolo to Trent Taylor connection on 3rd down. Now, one thing I always see fans ask is, why do receivers run short of the 1st down line on a 3rd down? Well, if Taylor runs to the 1st down line, look where he is. He's going to be right next to the defender. The defender is going to be able to make a play on the ball. So it's not always possible to run to the sticks like that. The downside, of course, is once you catch it, you are short of the 1st down. Now you have to get there. The most natural move would be to go to the outside, but the defenders are already ready for that. They would be able to probably make this play. So Taylor curls back to the inside and fights for some extra yards and gets the 1st down. And look out if the 49ers get Garoppolo and Trent Taylor going. Now you may have noticed Garoppolo had to go through several reads on this play. First, he looks over at Trent Taylor. That's not ready yet. Then he moves on to Kendrick Bourne. He's covered. He takes a quick look at George Kittle. Not there. He comes back to the other side to Jerick McKinnon. Doesn't like what he sees. So then he turns all the way back around to Taylor again. Now, what do you need if you're going to make all these reads? The thing that you need is time. Look at the time that the offensive line is giving him. Now, specifically, where's Aaron Donald? Got to know where he is on every play. There he is, and he's being double-teamed again by Laken Tomlinson and Trent Williams. The 49ers offensive line seems to have found a chemistry overnight, and it's beautiful to watch. All right, Garoppolo's ready to throw his 3rd touchdown pass of the half. You see they put Kendrick Bourne in motion, and now they're going to put Deebo Samuel in motion next to Brandon Ayuk in this sort of trips formation. And the trips formation is one that we've seen a lot more, I'd say, in the last 10 years. Why? Well, it can be confusing to defenses at times, and let's take a look at what happens. Look at this. 2 defenders go with Kendrick Bourne, leaving absolutely nobody on Brandon Ayuk. Garoppolo says, no problem, I'll take that all day. Touchdown, San Francisco. All right, the Niners have a big lead at the half, 21-6. And we're in the third quarter now, and you just knew the Rams were going to come out firing. And I remember telling my wife, all the Niners have to do here is kind of weather the storm. But let's take a look at what the Rams did on this first play right out of the gate. We see they've isolated Tyler Higbee one-on-one against Dre Greenlaw, a matchup that the Rams would like. And Higbee has a little bit of separation. And Jared Goff just drops this nicely right in the bucket for a gain of 38 yards. Look at the separation Higbee has on Greenlaw. But I wouldn't worry too much. I don't think we've heard the last from Dre Greenlaw in this game yet. Weather the storm. That's all the Niners really needed to do. And here, the Niners defense stiffens. Uh-oh, that's Kevin Givens heading straight for Jared Goff, and he just decides to chuck this ball away. Maybe a miscommunication there with the wide receiver, unclear, but the Rams have to settle for a field goal. I consider that to be a big win for the 49er defense coming out. They knew the Rams were going to come out firing. They withstood the blows. They bent, but they didn't break. And they still have a big lead, 21-9. But the Rams get the ball back, and they have a 1st and goal all the way down to the 8-yard line. Their phenomenal young running back, Darrell Henderson, takes it all the way down to the 2. So now it's 2nd and goal from the 1. But here, the Niners defense makes a terrific play with 2 of their big stars. Kerry Hyder Jr., who's having a terrific season, strings this play out and pursues Henderson to the corner where Dre Greenlaw meets him and makes the play. Boom! Dre Greenlaw and goal line stands. Name a more iconic duo. From this angle, we're going to get another great look at Greenlaw and his touchdown saving tackle. That is awesome. 3rd down. Now here Goff makes a great pass and he hits Cooper Kupp right in the numbers. But Cooper Kupp doesn't cleanly secure this ball. And check out Jamar Taylor diving, and he just helps to disrupt things along. Kupp can't bring it in, and it's an incomplete pass. 4th down. This time it's the Rams in a trips formation at the bottom of the screen. And we see Jason Verrett is guarding Robert Woods. But look at his eyes. He sees the quarterback the whole way. And when Goff floats it up for Reynolds, Verrett is able to make a play on the ball. Jason Verrett with the interception. He's back. He's healthy. He gets his first pick since 2016, and now the 49ers get the ball on the 20. Now, if Goff had gunned it into Reynolds, maybe he's able to make this throw. Maybe Verrett gets a hand on it. But instead, Goff floats it up, and that was a big mistake to make against a defender like Jason Verrett. Now the 49ers want to keep this momentum going, and here they're facing a big 3rd down and 4. The play design is simple. Kittle will run deep, and Kendrick Bourne will just cut behind him. And he drops it. As drops go, that was a pretty big one. You've just stopped the Rams on a goal line stand, and you drop an easy 3rd down conversion, keeping the door open a little bit for LA. Yeah, look at that. Hits him right in the hands. This can never happen, especially in this situation. But the Niners defense is up to the challenge, and San Francisco gets the ball back again. We're in the 4th quarter now, and they're facing another 3rd down and 6, and this time they want to throw to the sure-handed George Kittle instead. Notice the defender is playing an outside technique, so Kittle just cuts to the inside. And he drops it. Are you kidding me? Wow. Well, hey, they are human beings, right? Let's take another look. It's a good throw. It didn't even have a lot of velocity on it. Nice and easy. Hits him right in the hands and just slipped right through him. And Kittle is hopping mad. All right. The Niners defense was great all game. I wish I could show you more, But the Niners get the ball back again, and they're facing a 3rd down and 9. Now here Garoppolo notices that all the receivers for the 49ers are covered. But he does have a rushing lane. And on his bad ankle, using that determination that we talked about earlier, Garoppolo gets a nice gain of 7 yards on the play. He doesn't get the first down, but this was still a huge play in the game because what it did do was get the 49ers in field goal range. Look at the heart that he shows. Takes the hit, bounces right back up. And on the telecast, he was smiling. The Niners tack on a field goal and put the game out of reach for the Rams. What a performance for the San Francisco 49ers in this game. When they needed to bounce back, they did big time. All right, the Rams score a touchdown in garbage time, but now it's time for the 49ers to put this thing away. It's 3rd and 7. If they get a first down, the game is over. Again, very simple play design, just like the first touchdown we saw to Deebo. This time, everybody's going to go to their left, and Deebo Samuel will run to daylight. And he does just that and wins the game for the 49ers. Now, after the game, Aaron Donald pretended like he didn't know who Deebo Samuel was, which was a little odd considering he saw the back of his jersey all night. Well, there you have it, folks. The 49ers get a huge must win in a desperate situation. They do just that. Next week, they're going to have to go against the New England Patriots, who are reeling themselves a little bit. So that game could very well be a fight. But the 49ers are starting off this gauntlet, doing all the right things, making all the right moves. So the most obvious thing about this game right away was the massive improvement by the offensive line. Remember, we weren't really too worried about the secondary. We knew they were going to be getting some players back and that problem would pretty much solve itself. But now we might be having the opposite problem with the line again. Because in a game where they put in a tremendous performance, found that chemistry they needed, got things moving in the right direction, well, they lost Ben Garland, the center, at the end of the game. That's not good. And Weston Richburg isn't going to be ready to play until probably week 12, they're saying. So they're going to have to roll with their 3rd string center or maybe pick somebody up if they can. But that just calls into question all those things about chemistry again. But we'll see. I mean, we don't want to cast judgment before we even see anything. We'll see how they do against the Patriots. You know, Bill Belichick will try to exploit any weakness he can. So watch for that. Raheem Mostert, he's going to be out for a while too, and that's a big loss. He was averaging 7 yards per carry. But the bright spots, I think, are number one, Jimmy Garoppolo. His ankle is clearly still not 100%, but he did look much more comfortable this time around. He had a really good game. He threw 3 touchdowns in the first half. And also Jason Verrett, he's allowing a passer rating of something like 7.8 when targeted, which is, I want to say, best in the NFL. It's right up there. So he's having a tremendous season, to the point where I think it's going to be him and Richard Sherman on the field. Emmanuel Mosley might be the odd man out, which is kind of crazy to think of. But again, we're just speculating there. We don't know until Richard Sherman's ready to come back. What we do know is it's going to be a great game against the Patriots. The 49ers really, I think, are approaching this gauntlet with the right attitude. They're taking it one game at a time. They've got to, patch things up with their position groups here and there with all these injuries. They just have to survive, right? They've got to survive until they can get down to those last few games of the season and make that push to get in the playoffs. Remember, there's an extra wild card team in the NFC this year, so they've really got to take this seriously. They've really got to work. But if they do, they can get into the postseason where anything could happen, and I would not bet against Jimmy Garoppolo in that situation. He's done nothing but produce. And I think we got to give a shout out to Kyle Shanahan for this game. This was his best coached game by far. I think the game plan was tremendous. The play calling was tremendous. And really, the Niners just controlled this entire game start to finish. And if it weren't for a few key drops by Kittle and Kendrick Bourne, I think the Niners would have put up at least 30 points on the Rams. You think about it. If they get field goals at the end of each of those drives, that's 30 right there. So, again, we're going to have to wait till next week. I want to thank all my subscribers, especially my new ones. All you guys are tremendous. It takes a long time to make a video like this. If you could help me out and just take 2 seconds and click that like button, I would really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about the channel. It's going to be another fun ride. I think I really just get the feeling like we're gearing up to go on maybe what could be a bit of a surprising run here. So this could be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see the Patriots game and break down that film. And I will see you guys then.